All right, Droogs, here is our long-awaited hand wrapping tutorial video. Some of the things you'll need to wrap hands is a lot of surgical grade gauze, 1-inch war tape. The tape that goes on the hands has to be 1 inch thick, so 1-inch war tape is a great tape to do it because it sticks to itself really well, but not to the gauze or to the fighter's skin. And then we'll do a roll of 1.5 inch thick Kramer tape or just regular athletic tape. And then we'll need scissors that don't have a point on the end so we can go in and cut the hand wraps off if need be. Okay, so we're gonna start by making little strips, and I'm not gonna tell you about them just yet, but you'll see that eventually. We're just gonna grab some strips, maybe 8 inches long, and we're just gonna put 3 on each side, 3 for each hand. And I'll only wrap one hand today since it's repetitive. But 3 little strips for each hand. Eventually those will go in between Emily's fingers when we're ready. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is open up the gauze. It's important right now, in addition to just keeping your fighter calm, just make sure they're keeping their hands relaxed. They don't need to be having their hands over and flexing out a lot right now. So, okay, I am going to take a look at the size between Emily's 4 punching knuckles here. I'm gonna get a rough idea, and then I'm going to make 8 layers of a pad. Cut it with your medical scissors. Okay, and again, we're only gonna wrap one hand today for instructional purposes, but we would have made 2 pads and 6 of those long pieces of tape if we were wrapping both hands. Okay, so then you just get some gauze. I prefer these little tiny pre-wrapped pieces of gauze. They're a lot easier for me to work with. Some people like big rolls of gauze. Personal preference, doesn't matter. So, all right, your fighter will present one hand to you, and you will start wrapping the gauze around the wrist. We'll go around the wrist a handful of times here. I'm very minimalist with my wraps. There's lots of different ways to do it, but I think the less wrap we have, the better for our fighter, especially in an MMA setting. If it's too gauzed up, it becomes really hard for them to squeeze their hands, and it fatigues you just to have your hand inside the glove. I learned that the hard way. So now I'm just gonna, now that I have a couple layers around the wrist, I'm gonna cut underneath the hand here and start wrapping around the knuckles. So you can just kind of go wrist, knuckles, wrist, knuckles. You don't want to go past the knuckles onto the fingers, but get a couple layers around the knuckles there. Every so often we will wrap around the thumb just to give that thumb a little bit of support, but again, it's just generally speaking wrist and knuckles and the thumb every now and again. Once we've got the wrap good and started, I'm going to have Emily take her fingers like so and put them on the front edge of the gauze that I put half on the knuckles, half off the knuckles. I have her hold her fingers like so until I've pulled up some extra gauze. I replace her fingers with my own, and then I come down around to suck that in. Now I'm just gonna fold back over and have Emily do the same thing with her fingers. Again, until I can get enough gauze to replace her fingers with my own. And now I've got Emily's pad wrapped in. Because I use these little things of gauze here, I'm going to have to use 2 to finish the wrap. So that's okay, you can finish the wrap wherever. In this case, I'll just take it back down around Emily's wrist, and the gauze sticks to itself really nicely. So just kind of smear it onto itself and it'll stick until I'm ready for the rest of the gauze if you're doing these gauze layers in multiple segments like I do. All right, and then just right back around. Doesn't really matter now at this point. All the hard part of the gauze is over. We're just wrapping, continuing wrapping on the knuckles, on the wrist, and every so often around the thumb. So this is where you can hide any little imperfections if you have any. And then just ask your fighter how it feels. If they want some extra padding in any particular spot, the thumb, let's say, if she wants some extra on the thumb, I'll just heavy dedicate some to the thumb now. Maybe the wrist she felt was a little light. Totally your discretion at this point. Just finishing out the wrap however you'd like. I'm gonna go a couple more times around the wrist, or sorry, around the punching knuckles, and then I will finish on the wrist. All right, and again, that gauze lays nicely on itself and you just kind of smear it on. Okay, again, the tape that goes on the hand has to be 1-inch tape. That's why I prefer this 1-inch war tape. Pretty much everybody in the business uses this 1-inch war tape. Very easy to rip. It's the right size. It sticks to itself incredibly well, but it doesn't stick to other surfaces terribly. So give it a rip, and we're just gonna go right around the bottom of the wrist here. Just one nice piece of tape all the way around the wrist. I have that locked in. Now we're gonna take these 3 strips that we made in the beginning, starting with the middle. We're gonna put it half on the top and then half on the underside. We're gonna do that in between all 3 fingers, bringing them together at a point on the top and at a point on the underside. And I'll have Emily flip her hand upside down after I get this on all the way. All right, now I'm just gonna flip upside down. I'm gonna make sure that there's a triangle between Emily's gloves here so that they say, make sure they know you're not hiding any knives. And then if there's any leftover tape, we're just gonna tuck it underneath like so. If you gotta clean it up, no worries, that's all gonna get hidden underneath anyway. Okay, now we're gonna lock this tape in. We must keep the tape 1 inch back off the knuckles. So if the tape is on the knuckles, they're gonna have you make you rewrap the hands, it's gonna be a mess. So go a little bit further back even than you think. 1 inch back from the knuckles. Ultimately, this does not matter a lot in a fight unless you stress your fighter out with the tape job. So keep them relaxed and stay back from the knuckles, because that is the one thing the commission will be picky about. All right, from there, ask your fighter to make a fist, pack it in a little bit. As long as that feels good, then, again, a really minimalist job here. I just start layering tape all the way down the hand, and I just keep it on the top side of the glove. It allows for the most mobility for the fighter's hand inside the glove, and it makes a pretty wrap job. A couple more pieces of war tape down the line here, and Emily will be ready to get her wraps checked off by the commission. If you're not sure if the commission will approve your wraps, have them take a look at the first wrap before you do the second wrap, so you can make any adjustments you need to on one hand and not the second. All right, and that is how you wrap a hand.